Montreal, welcome back to the Suburban Radio Hour. I'm Beryl Wiseman, editor of the Suburban, here with my friends and colleagues, Anthony Bonaparte, features editor, Mark Lidbetter, sports editor, and now we turn things over to Mike Cohen and everything you need to know about entertainment and society news, and he'll have a special guest today. Mike, over to you.
Well, very happy on the Suburban Radio Hour on CJD to have a very, very distinguished guest, Beryl, someone you know you've met many times, Alan Dershowitz. You can say hi to Beryl, Alan.
Hi, Beryl.
And John Curtin, filmmaker John Curtin from Montreal. John, an amazing film that I got a sneak preview of, the Trials of Alan Dershowitz. It's going to be at the Blue Metropolis at the Sev Cinema of Concordia, April 25th at 7 p.m. How did this all come about? Did you got a film like this?
I met Alan 10 years ago doing another film, and I found his life story almost unbelievable. It's so full and so vast that I said someone should make a film about him. I was very surprised that an American filmmaker hadn't already jumped on the opportunity.
And Alan, what do you want people to learn about Alan Dershowitz when they see this film?
How much more complicated and nuanced my life is, how I represent people I fundamentally disagree with and hate, but need to defend them in order to preserve the rule of law. I just want them to understand the complexities of what it means to be a civil liberties lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer, and somebody who tries to see all sides of all issues.
And we were talking before that, you know, at this stage in your life, no one had done a documentary on you before. It took a Canadian, John Curtin, to come out and do it. And you say it's because you're not that well liked by a lot of people.
Well, nobody likes an honest civil libertarian or criminal defense lawyer. Take, for example, my defense of Donald Trump. I don't support Donald Trump politically. And so the Trump supporters hate me for not supporting him politically. And the Trump haters, of which there are many, hate me because I defend his civil liberties and I defended him on the floor of the Senate. And that's just a paradigmatic of my life in general. I defend many, many people who I personally despise. I've defended Nazis. I defended students for Palestine on the Harvard campus when they tried to deny them from putting up a Palestinian flag. And it's so hard to explain to people what the role of the criminal defense lawyer is. And this film does it brilliantly. And you watch this film and you say, oh, my God, for the first time, I now understand what makes Alan Dershowitz tick. Maybe been having the wrong impression of him. Well, some people will say, still, we don't like what he does, but that's okay as long as you understand it.
Absolutely. And one last question. O.J. Simpson just passed away. You represented him as well. One of the most controversial figures. Is the O.J. Simpson story now dead and buried? Excuse the vocabulary, because people have been saying he's guilty for over 20 years.
Well, the evidence certainly points in the direction of guilt, but the evidence also shows that the prosecution planted a piece of evidence against him, a sock, which was laid out flat on the table, and blood of O.J. Simpson and one of his alleged victims was poured on it. We were able to prove that because the foolish police officer who poured the blood on the sock didn't know that the blood contained EDTA, a chemical not found in the human body, but put in test tubes to preserve it against coagulation. So for many people, in the end, if you read my books and if you see this film, you can come to the conclusion that they tried to frame a guilty man. And we caught them and exposed them. And the result was, obviously, I can't comment on my own personal belief as to his guilt or innocence, but it's reasonable for people to assume either conclusion.
Well, for my full interview with Alan Dershowitz and John Curtin, you can go to the Suburban website, thesuburban.com, and the Suburban on-air channel, Cohen in the City. Thank you very much for joining us.
Mike, that was great. That was Mike Cohen with Entertainment. I'm Beryl Wiseman, editor of the Suburban, and now it's time for the Suburban Radio Hour's business features. And this week it's on Click Air with, once again, our own Jennifer Cox. Jennifer?
I am sitting down with Jean-Sébastien Noel, who works with Click Air. Thanks for joining us. So I'd love to know a little bit more about Click Air. Can you tell us a little bit about the services that you provide to residential and commercial clients?
Yes, Click Air is a residential specialized in HVAC, heating, refrigeration, cooling. So either cooling, if you're hot, cold, we can help you. Mainly, we have servicing your equipment. So if the equipment doesn't work, if you need a new install, we do installation or replacement. And something that we're pushing new this year, we are launching the official ClickAir Club. Basically, it's to make people aware of the importance of maintenance of your system for one, air quality, but just longevity of your equipment. It's essential. You do this oil change for your car. We need to do the same thing for your unit, your cooling or heating units.
So I love that you drew that conclusion, like that sort of comparison. So you compared our heating and cooling systems to our cars in that we do need regular maintenance. It's something that I think a lot of people get lazy with, but maybe you can talk a little bit about how important is that maintenance and how it kind of pays off in the long run.
Yes, we purchased a new unit. We're happy to sell one, but sometimes people think that they purchase a unit for $10,000, and after that they forget it. It's in a closet somewhere. The problem is that's going to happen is many things. Filters needs to be changed. There's no company that's going to be there every month to check them. I'd love to be there every time, but the client needs to be conscious that he needs to interact with the system, but we can be there for him to help. If the idea is to schedule probably two visits, we'll inspect the system. Filters need to be changed for sure, but there's also the cleaning of the condenser that's outside. There's bearings, electrical, the freon gas. It's all little things that in the long run, if you don't clean it regularly, it's going to become harder and harder to maintain the system. And if you forget it, but for 10 years, it's probably going to run 2-3 years. But at some point, you'll basically need to replace the system. So why not make it a habit, checking every month? And we want to try to give knowledge to our clients. So we're doing a new website, and it's going to be all focused on the client, what we can do for them, and if they can learn with us and join the club.
Join the ClickAir Club. I love that. All right. Thank you so much, Jean-Sébastien. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. And now with our weather specialist, one of Montreal's best weather specialists, Stephen Bellina. Steve, what do we got coming up? What have we seen? What do we have to look forward to this week?
Thank you, Merrill. Good evening, Montreal, and this is the Suburban Weather Minute. Unsettled weather was the rule this past week, and that will continue into the upcoming week. Several weak frontal boundaries moving through the region have produced some showers. One thing that did surprise me this past week was temperatures remained on the cool side. It was difficult to get up to the normal high of 12 Celsius, and that will prevail for the upcoming week. We're looking at temperatures at or slightly below normal high 12 Celsius, normal overnight low 2 Celsius, and it will remain unsettled with a risk of some shower activity, especially towards the middle part of the week, but no major weather systems on tap. A week ago Friday, we had some very mild air around, temperatures into the low 20s. That was followed by a big drop in temperatures on the Saturday, dropping down to about 5-6 Celsius here in the Montreal region. That is normal in April. April can be a volatile month with big mood swings in the weather. That's why we end up with thunderstorms and snowstorms, sometimes days apart from each other. One thing that is notable is we did have some flooding, some spring flooding across the Lower Laurentians and the Lanaudière region. There was flooding around Chertsey and Rod in Quebec. There was a bridge washed out. A couple of cars went into the water. Thankfully, no injuries reported there. 50 families were isolated by the bridge collapse, but that problem has since been taken care of by the municipality. As far as flooding goes in the Montreal region, we're not anticipating any this spring, unlike the 2017 and 2019 seasons where we had severe flooding. This past year, lack of snowfall, lack of ice cover resulted in very little runoff. So even though we've had about 85 millimeters of rain so far this month in Montreal, the ground and the river systems have been able to absorb that rainfall, and it has resulted in very little incident. And as I said, we're not anticipating any as the season moves on. The rest of the month, though, does look coolish. I'm seeing cooler temperatures lasting into the first week of May, and this can be typical around this time of year. There is a lot of cloud cover generated in the month of April, so we'll see how the month of May plays out, but at least for the next week to 10 days, we are looking at temperatures to be at or just slightly below normal. You can always get an update on the weather at the Suburban weather page under the blog tab at thesuburban.com. Until next time, I'm Stephen Belina.
Thanks, Stephen. I'm Beryl Wiseman, editor of the Suburban. And coming up next on the Suburban Radio Hour, we'll be checking in on the local sports scene with our own Mark Lidbetter. And Mark has a father and daughter interview coming up. But first, we're off to the CJD Traffic Center.